All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of 40 Years, 40 Moments in Coker Men's Soccer. Special feature for you here in this edition. I've got Eric Johnston, class of '87, along with his son Beck, a current Coker University student and member of the men's soccer team. Guys, how you doing this afternoon?
Doing great.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well, guys. So we'll get right into it. Like we kind of talked in the beginning, it's not real often that you come along a story quite like this, but Eric, a 1987 graduate, a member of the men's tennis team, however close with a lot of the original men's soccer forefathers, Rick Blanks, Bird Brown, the like. So Eric, we'll start with you. To have your son kind of in a way following your footsteps as a student athlete at Coker. What was your kind of initial reaction to all this, and what's it been like for you?
Well, it's been great. It's been great having Beck at Coker. I lost touch with Coker over the years, and so it's a nice way to stay in touch with Coker. He did a number of ID camps in his junior year in high school, and wanted to get to Coker and did the ID camp there. And it just kind of worked out really well. It was neat getting back on campus again and again seeing that even though a lot of things had stayed the same, a lot of things are different now and better and more modern and everything like that since being there. So it's really neat seeing Beck at Coker and playing soccer and just kind of being part of campus again.
So Beck, I'll turn that around for you. What's it kind of been like to, you know, turn this around to your father and kind of follow behind in sharing the experiences that he had?
It's been pretty cool because I can kind of see from the perspective that I have, and just all I can do is really wonder what it was like back in '87. It was definitely a lot different. Whenever we first started coming to Coker, before I even started coming to school there, just to look at it, like he would point out stuff to me and be like, "Well, that used to not be that, and this used to be this." So it's cool to like see that it's changed and been improving and all that kind of stuff.
Well, that's cool. And you guys kind of had answered my next question was had you guys visited Coker together back before you decided to enroll?
Yes, we actually did a few times because it was on my kind of list of colleges to look into, but I know my dad had attended, so we checked it out before and looked around at it.
Yeah, yeah, it was neat. Like Beck said, it was neat to be back on campus. Memorial is a lot nicer now than it was. And I 4 years. And when we went there on his campus visit, I was like, wow, this is no more radiator heaters or cottages or any of that kind of stuff. So that was pretty good. But yeah, it was neat. Again, just seeing all the changes that were made, and getting to talk to Beck about like the bell tower and what the traditions were there, and getting to ring it a few times for tennis and all that. So yeah, it was neat being back on campus again.
Good. Good. And then kind of so we'll flash back a little bit. Beck, you've decided that you're coming to Coker. Eric, did you have any advice, any words of wisdom?
Well, I don't know who's watching this, but I guess one would be to take more advantage of his student athlete opportunity than I did. I look back, I guess when you get older, you look back on your life and think about things you would have done differently. And so, as a young man there, I, probably didn't take my classes as seriously as I could have. So I just kind of urged Beck to take advantage of his opportunity there and to do well and to just make the most of it and enjoy life. I know it was particularly tough with him last year with COVID. I think his hall was quarantined about 6 different times. And I know that was definitely a challenge, for academically having to be home and be online. It was definitely a challenge for soccer because of the bubble environment that they had last year, only having 6 games. So not really getting a chance to get on the field very much. I know developmental, if that was Coach Mike's plans for him last year, they didn't have a schedule at all. And so I know it for your, I got to imagine for him, I know his senior year in high school was tough because that ended abruptly, and then transitioning to a freshman in college, you're thinking all these things, exciting, and dorm life and social life and all that stuff. And it just, I know he's not the only one that it happened to, but it definitely makes it a lot tougher to get adjusted.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And then kind of the final piece I wanted to touch on, and I know you guys have touched on this a little bit, but is there any experiences that both of you being Coker student athletes that you guys have been able to kind of share just kind of at one and the same?
Well, although my dad was on the tennis team, he did know a lot of members of the soccer team, and I feel like there is that kind of community at Coker where all the sports teams kind of just know each other and know like what sports each other's plays and like what everybody's doing because it's such like a tight community at Coker. So I feel like that is a similar experience we both had, just knowing a lot of people on different sports teams and I mean, I don't know. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's Beck hit the nail on the head. It really is being. I mean, we were NAIA. In fact, we may have even been NAIA Division II if there was such a thing back then. So, we had a handful of teams, and to just see where that's grown. I mean, particularly in soccer to today, being NCAA D2, but all of those players still being fans and still being supportive on Facebook. When Beck signed with Coker, a lot of those guys that I knew were like, "Hey, that's great, way to go!" So still staying in touch with it, and it being big enough to be nationally competitive in good years, but small enough to still have that kind of community feeling is really neat to see.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, that was all I had. I really appreciate you both taking the time. Um, if there's anything else I haven't touched on, feel free to chime in. Like I said, I think this is a neat little piece for us, and certainly, obviously, a very nice piece for the two of you to kind of share with each other. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and thanks for being a part of this.
Hey, you bet. Thank you, Jacob.